Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be tackling a topic that can leave many car owners feeling frustrated and lost: how to find a short circuit in your car. Now, before we dive in, I want to make one thing clear: this is not a video for the faint of heart. Electrical systems can be tricky, and if you're not comfortable working with them, it's best to leave this job to a professional. But if you're feeling adventurous and want to give it a shot yourself, then stick around. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process step by step, from identifying the symptoms of a short circuit to using a multimeter to track it down. We'll also cover some important safety tips to keep in mind while you're working, and I'll share some troubleshooting advice in case you run into any snags along the way. So, if you're ready to get started, grab your tools and let's get to it. Car electrical circuits are typically designed as single-wire systems, meaning that the chassis of the car acts as the negative or ground wire. The positive wire carries the current from the battery to the various components in the car. When a switch is turned on, it completes the circuit and allows current to flow from the battery to the component. There are two main types of short circuits: direct short circuit. This occurs when the positive and negative wires come into direct contact with each other. This can happen if the insulation on the wires is damaged or if the wires are pinched or crushed. Indirect short circuit. This occurs when the positive wire comes into contact with another metal object in the car, such as the chassis. This can happen if the insulation on the wire is damaged or if the wire is loose. There are a few ways to find a short circuit in a car. Visual inspection. The first step is to visually inspect the wiring harness for any signs of damage, such as frayed wires, melted insulation, or loose connections. Multimeter. A multimeter can be used to measure the resistance between the positive and negative wires. If the resistance is very low, it indicates that there is a short circuit. Test light. A test light can be used to identify the location of a short circuit. The test light should be connected to the positive terminal of the battery and then touched to different points in the circuit. If the test light illuminates, it indicates that there is a short circuit at that point. Here are a few additional tips for finding a short circuit in a car. Start by disconnecting the battery. This will prevent any further damage to the electrical system. Isolate the problem area. Once you have identified the general area where the short circuit is located, you can start to isolate the problem. This can be done by disconnecting individual components or sections of the wiring harness. Be patient. Finding a short circuit can be a time-consuming process. Don't get discouraged if you don't find it right away. If you are not comfortable working on your car's electrical system, it is best to take it to a qualified mechanic. Finding a short circuit in a car can be a challenging task, but it is important to do so in order to prevent further damage to the electrical system. By following the tips above, you should be able to find the short circuit and repair it. A short to ground occurs when a live wire comes into contact with the car's metal chassis. This can happen due to worn insulation, chafing wires, or damage from accidents or corrosion. Here's how to identify a short to ground. Look for blown fuses. Blown fuses often indicate a short circuit. Check the fuse box and replace any blown fuses. If the fuse blows again immediately, you likely have a short circuit. Use a multimeter. Set your multimeter to the continuity setting and connect one probe to the positive terminal of the battery and the other probe to the suspected shorted wire. If the meter beeps, you have a short to ground. Visually inspect the wiring. Look for any signs of damage to the wiring insulation, such as chafing, melting, or cuts. Pay close attention to areas where wires are bundled together or rub against metal components. A short circuit to power occurs when two live wires touch each other. This can cause a large amount of current to flow, potentially damaging electrical components or even starting a fire. Here's how to identify a short circuit to power. Look for melted wires or components. The high current flow caused by a short circuit can melt wires or damage electrical components. Check for any signs of melting or burning on wires, connectors, or fuses. Use a multimeter. Set your multimeter to the voltage setting and connect the probes to the two wires you suspect are shorted together. If the meter reads 12 volts, you have a short circuit. Disconnect the battery. If you suspect a short circuit to power, Disconnect the battery immediately to prevent further damage. Remember, always exercise caution when working with electrical systems. If you are unsure about anything, consult a qualified mechanic.